Hey everybody, it's Marshall Mug here. This is going to be my The Flash Season 3 Episode 21 review. Whole lot of stuff happened, mainly Savitar explaining why he exists. And I like that quite a bit, but this episode kind of felt like a filler one to me. I don't know, a little bit. This is really a lot of setup to what's going to happen in the future. There's definitely some plot lines that were kind of hinted at here. So we'll talk about that, but we have to talk about Savitar first, because there was a whole lot of explanation going on, and I really liked it. So, let's explain Savitar, shall we? For those of you who don't know. Now, before we get started, I just want to say that this character, I explained in my last review of The Flash, is that this character, Savitar, in the comics, Savitar and the 2024 Barry that you're seeing are two different characters. They're not the same character. Savitar is a separate character, and Barry, the plotline that they've chosen, is a different character as well. So it's all different. Look it up in the comics if you want to. But then we're going to explain how the show's version of Savitar's work. So, how this works is that this Barry, is a time remnant created by the future 2024 Barry, so that way he could fight Savitar. So, Barry from that time created all these time remnants, right? And then this time remnant here that you're seeing, Savitar, to defeat Savitar, by the way, it's like this infinite loop. This time remnant was upset because Team Flash shunned him for not being the actual Barry, for being this other version or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't like it at all. So he kills all the time remnants except for one, so that one time remnant would become Savitar. Very confusing. It's crazy. I had to actually rewatch the episode a couple times just so I could get it right. I was like, okay, wait a minute. I'm understanding this correctly, right? I'm kind of like Joe in this situation. Usually I pick up instantly on the storylines that they're explaining on The Flash, especially in Season 1 and 2. But in this season, it's gotten a little bit more complex just because of time travel. I know, it's pretty crazy, but I feel like they get the point across after a while. Like, if you rewatch it a couple times, you'll get to understand it a little bit better. For me, I just had to watch it about 3 times just to be like, okay, let me get this right. It's kind of like how you order something at, like, one of those fast food restaurants, and you're like, okay, let me make sure I got this order right. You want this, 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 and this. And I'm like, okay. So that's kind of like how I feel about Savitar. But then later on, Cisco gives Joe one of those science lessons that Star Labs gives Joe all the time, where they have to, like, draw on that glass board. I wonder if anybody's going to keep that glass board. You know, usually after they wrap up with TV shows, each member of the cast takes home a prop or something to remember the show by. I wonder if anyone's going to take that glass board and just kind of, like, draw on it. I think that would be funny if someone just took the glass board from set at the last day. But anyway, so Barry loses his memory in this episode. That was actually one of my favorite things about this episode, is just Barry in general. Grant's so funny in this one. He's actually really bubbly, and that's what I love about him, is that his personality is kind of, like, infectiously happy. But anyway, he looks at, like, this whole world differently. He even renamed himself Bart Allen. If you don't know who Bart Allen is, where have you been, Young Justice? Hello? So anyway, Bart Allen in the comics is the grandson of Barry and Iris. So this is pretty interesting. In the comics, Barry and Iris have the Tornado Twins, and later on, Bart is born. So Bart Allen is Impulse, but he's also Kid Flash. So how this happens is that Bart was sent from the future to basically go to the past. It's this big thing that goes on in the comics. They kind of explain it in Young Justice. If you haven't seen Young Justice Season 2, I'd actually suggest you go watch that. I recommend it because it's actually really good. But he becomes Impulse, and the way they've said it here, it seems like they're teasing Bart. I don't think they're going to do him next season, but Season 5, possibly. Who knows? I think it's a possibility. But this is really funny because the whole mind thing reminds me of Clifford DeVoe, who we got a tease of, earlier this season, with Abracadabra mentioning his name dropping the thinker himself, DeVoe, and it's rumored that he's going to be the Season 4 villain. I think that's actually a really good idea. They've already confirmed that it's not going to be a speedster next season, which is good because I'm tired of speedster villains, but I'm excited to see if this is really a tease for DeVoe. I think it would be a great idea. Also, this episode, they had a lot more fun with the characters. I feel like Grant, again, was so bubbly and so infectiously happy. It's just like, how can you not love Grant after this episode? I thought it was hilarious. The whole court scene, that was funny. That was like my favorite moment in the episode, was the court scene, how he was reading off the glasses. I thought it was hilarious how Julian and Cisco were like this comedy duo with Heatmonger. By the way, Heatmonger's not a character in the comics either. So this is just a whole creation made by the writers. I think this was genius. This was genius. It was great. I loved also Cisco being like, "Oh, I love your name. Your name is amazing. Don't change it." After Julian kind of made Heatmonger upset. I thought that was actually really funny. But Heatmonger ended up walking the streets anyway, so I guess it doesn't matter. I don't know how I feel about Heatmonger. He feels more like one of those Great Value versions. Like, he feels like Great Value version or Best Choice version of Heatwave. So I don't know how I feel about that. Sorry, Heatmonger, but you tried. Yeah, anyway, moving on. But Barry, I think it was fun to see Barry kind of lose all of his dark memories. I think that was one of my favorite parts of the episode, was him just losing all of that baggage that he has, especially about his parents. He didn't know his parents were murdered, which is a huge thing. Iris had to, kind of lie a little bit, and I think that's really interesting. Even Iris was like, maybe we shouldn't make Barry remember all those horrible things. But then Joe explains that the baggage, the emotional stress of all of these memories gives, it fuels Barry to be a better person. It fuels him to be the hero that he is. So even Iris kind of goes back to one of her, oldest memories of Barry, which is this scene here. I thought that was beautiful too. That was a really great scene. And it just reminds her as well how much Barry needs those memories too. And then Wally even lost his speed, so I think it was crazy that Iris, knowing that there wasn't going to be a Flash or, any speedster protecting Central City, I thought it was kind of crazy that she would still go along with the idea that Barry doesn't need his memories. But the way that this was explained is that Wally, because Savitar lost his memories, he wasn't able to remind the Time Remnant itself to go become Savitar, so that takes away Wally's speed. It's kind of crazy. Again, it's so complicated, but you kind of get the idea after you watch the episode a couple times. We gotta talk about Caitlin, because you guys know Killer Frost and Caitlin are both my favorite characters on the show. I love Danielle Panabaker. I grew up with Danielle, and I'm still growing up with Danielle here. I like Killer Frost so much. I love this character. I think that she's perfect as Killer Frost, in my opinion. And the freaking writers are trying to change her back and forth from Caitlin to Killer Frost. It makes me mad. I think she's great at this character. And also, Danielle has actually said in a Q&A that it doesn't take long to become Killer Frost at all. It literally does not take long to put on the makeup. She said the hardest thing is to peel back her hair so that they can put on the wig. But that's pretty much it. So I don't see why they're making her back into Caitlin. My idea in my last review was that they should make Caitlin like the comic book version of Caitlin Snow right now. This is the comics version. In Rebirth, Caitlin's actually an anti-hero. She's a villain, but she does good things. And she's on Batman's, squad, you could say. And she's more of an anti-hero. I think they should do that here, in my opinion. I think that would be fantastic to see her still Killer Frost, still have the look, and still evil, and still have that icy personality, but does good things. I was actually thinking she could have even helped Barry and Wally with the fire. I was like, oh, maybe she'll jump back in and help them just this once, but she didn't. I thought that was actually really cool. But seeing that whole scene with her in the med bay with Cisco and Julian, oh, that was so crazy. That was like, the feels are getting to me. But when her eyes flickered back to Caitlin, I was like, oh, heck no. You ain't making her Caitlin after all of this time, turning her into Killer Frost. You best believe I'm gonna fight you if you turn her back into Caitlin. So I don't like that one bit. But what I do like is HR and Tracy's relationship. That's fantastic. So HR and Tracy have now realized they both have feelings for each other. And you can just see the word death written all over HR. I believe that HR is gonna die at the end of this season, which is kind of depressing because he's actually my favorite Harrison Wells yet. Because he's so funny and he's so annoying. But that's what makes him so funny, is that he is annoying. And that he annoys Cisco. But in a way that's not, overbearing. I think that's one thing that I don't like about people in real life, is being annoying overbearingly. And here it's just, an annoying, but not purposely. It's just, that's his personality. And he doesn't do it on purpose. And he also doesn't do it too much. So I think it's great. He's my favorite my favorite Wells. And Tom Cavanaugh's fantastic. But Tracy, though, I love this addition to the team. I think Tracy's fantastic. And she builds the Speed Force Bazooka, that's what they're calling it, to trap Savitar. But they need something more powerful than the sun to power it, which is what they're going to use is this power source from the Dominators crossover that Barry and Captain Cold are going to steal. I think that's pretty interesting. I'm excited for that episode. King Shark's going to be in it, so there's a whole lot of stuff going on in next week's episode of The Flash. But what do you guys think of this week's episode? What did you think about the whole Savitar and Barry losing their memories thing? What did you think about Killer Frost turning back into Caitlin? And what do you think about HR possibly dying at the end of the season? Comment down below. Don't forget to screen this video out to the world by sharing it down below. Don't forget to like and favorite this video. Don't forget to subscribe. And as always, I will see you guys later for some more videos, including Arrow. I'm going to catch up, and also Supergirl eventually. But you know how it goes. Alright, bye-bye.